still have things like the Renata that are left open, the Melio being there as well. Of course, typically wanting to pair that with the Lucian. The other thing we've seen it with a little bit would be the Aphelios. So if they go Lucian Nami, I would expect a potential Aphelios answer. But like we said, we haven't really been seeing it all that much here in the LPL.
I just am so taken aback that we just get Ashe set up bans every single game. We do have a very spicy bot lane duos going down now. We got the Lucian Nami versus the Melio Aphelios. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've really, really liked the Melio when it's let through. It's banned a lot now in pro play, but when it's let through, it's very, very strong. And you still have a lot of options available for Weibo on the blue side in the second phase here as well. Would wonder if they want to go ahead and get one of these solo lane matchups going for themselves. We have seen a prevalence of kind of that first side pick, blue side pick of top side early. You get the Udyr here, which has been played a ton in pro play, Lyric.
Yeah, I wonder if RA are just gonna, opt into handshaking it, and you can save top for later on. Maybe you end up picking jungle here, or if they do something spicy, because I think it was Keen who picked a Darius into it the other day, and it absolutely just dominated the Udyr with help of one gank. But we are just gonna end up getting the Vicla Azir. So,
man, are we back in like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Lucian, Nami, Azir, first 3 picks.
I'm actually happy with it because it means we're going to get a lot of potential aggression coming out in the bot lane. The Azir, we'll see what it's able to do, but so far it's going to have, common bans come out against it. LeBlanc, something that has still been insanely prevalent here in the LPL, still playing that AD, just get all the energized passive items you could to just make sure you can easily push the wave and get those chunks out. Now for RA, I mean, it's an interesting choice, right? Because Weibo have already shown top, so you can just go for top on floor and then try to get an advantageous matchup in jungle.
Yeah, I think that could be the option, honestly. And there's not much of that flexibility now that we're starting to pinch some of those big utilitarian pulls for Naiyou. The Rel is a really good second phase ban right now for Weibo. Try to get this new player off of comfort early on in this best of. But the mid lane focus right now for RA, they really want a good matchup for Vicla, and that's setting them up for success.
Yeah, there isn't too much once we swap over to Weibo's side for them to really bring out. I guess there's still the option of things like the Yone to come out if you want to put some pressure on. But RA actually going to be looking at the Sejuani for now. They do need CC. They do need frontline. I mean, right now kind of setting up to play a more traditional front-to-back style with the Azir and having things like the tidal wave from the Nami to be able to set up for disengage. But, ooh... Actually going to have the Poppy come through. Is going to be able to try to dissuade and deny things like the Udyr from running forward. Is even going to make it a bit harder to bring out like certain jungle options that do have those dashes, right? Things like the Lee Sin, the Xin Zhao. But nothing really showing from Weibo just yet that would really demand a Poppy pick.
At least not yet. I think they're going to continue making sure that's the case here as Taliyah does get locked in. There is some flexibility with that right now as well, but Weibo having to pick up their last pick here anyways. You have a lot of things you could go for. I feel like this composition going to have a lot of strength in the side lane with the Udyr, but you've got to find another point of pressure here.
Yeah, I would expect them to probably just lock this in. They have good enough damage. They have the setup coming out through mid-jungle to try and look and turn towards sides. You'd expect them to play around that Aphelios Melio and bot side because they should have a favorable matchup in that 2v2. And now the answer is going to come out from RA with where they want to go. You wouldn't expect something like a Jax because of the Taliyah, don't want to play sides. So they do just opt in to go into K'Sante. We already know K'Sante, Aatrox, Udyr kind of being the 3 blinds.
It's just been really easy to grab those, right? I think it makes it to where a lot of the matchups can be navigated pretty easily. I will say, though, Lyric, and I may be the odd one out here, but I've not been the biggest fan of Xin Zhao's in this patch. But I have heard the reasonings why, the strength in skirmishing, the first item spikes, things like that. It's very, very strong. I'm very curious at how XiaoHao wants to attack Naiyou with that.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing right off the back is just how strong Weibo's early lane should be. Again, Aphelios Melio able to do incredibly well in that 2v2. We know Udyr just able to press R, permanently push the wave, look for the proxy. Taliyah going to do the same thing in mid. And this is something I've noticed because I've been hanging out a lot in Kelsey's co-streams. of like how many times with the Azir having to be 1-2 on red, that red side actually ends up with unfavorable lane matchups and ends up not having prio, which is again typically what you are on red side to do, to find, to draft. So
that's
we'll
the difference
see.
of the map, though.
Yeah, we'll see if RA find a way to circumvent it and get to a point where their comp has some strength.
Well, we find ourselves here yet again. I've been waiting for this for a long time, Lyric, because you know what is coming next. It is our first casted game of the LPL 2024, but it is an exciting one. It is a world finalist in Weibo with a retooled roster going against a refreshed rarest of atoms. We've got new players and old players alike, and the LPL is in full swing. We're getting into game one now, and it couldn't be better. We're going to see what the bot lane has in store with these aggressive 2v2s. But Weibo looking to have control around the map with the lane priority. And as we kick off and get the Summoner's Rift, let's hear those Dios roar! Gotta love hearing the crowd chants coming through. It just feels alive, and while we can't be there, we can feel the energy through it. Now, this pixel brush is a little deadly, and RA will find out that Weibo wanted to take advantage of that here, but as we get set up, it is looking at how RA can tackle this kind of strong stance you were bringing up about Weibo.
Yeah, and I love seeing teams kind of do small things like this, just try and already cement yourself with some, you know, pressure towards the bot side. You can see Crisp and Light having no fear looking for these trades. We all know when Aphelios has the Calibrum is one of those points you can try and play with a bit of a range advantage and get ahead, but look at ZDZ actually hunting out Naiyou.
This is really typical. Seeing aggressive moves from top lane early is very, very good because it sets that pacing back so much, and look at that. Welcome to the LPL, ZDZ says.
I feel like a lot of times you'll see the jungle kind of start lurking in the enemy jungle, start trying to build some tension, then they'll back out, but Weibo looking to heavily trade too.
Assum's actually got the advantage here. Light, maybe you mistaking his positioning. He's got to try to fight back. That heal is going to come clutch from Chris, but the barrier also utilized. There's flashes on RA. They could go for the kill.
Yeah, and this is a trade you see very often when you're running things like barrier. Try and get that one used early on, find the health advantage, and take over the lane from there. But looking for the all-in when they really should just be looking to play off the range advantage from that Calibrum, start building up waves, and then you can really take advantage of trades those first 3 waves because you're able to find that advantage from level 1. But sadly, not able to do that. And now this gives RA an into the game, right? Because Lucianami is still incredibly powerful, ton of burst.
The thing I love here, though, XiaoHao taking advantage of what ZDZ have carved out earlier, knowing that Naiyou was going towards the bot side of the map, will be taking the advantage to clear this top side. So we have a bit of an awkward state for Naiyou, who's going to be down a ton of farm.
Yeah, and it doesn't even really look like he's in a position to try and make anything happen, right? Weibo now going to be catching the wave under turret. Just going to have to either go for a reset, walk straight top. I guess he doesn't know that he's been invaded.
He doesn't know.
You know?
He unfortunately hasn't gotten the bad news, all right? Somebody really needs to get the mail delivered to him. Actually, XiaoHao playing a little bit defensively there, knowing that top lane was missing. A bit scared of taking the Raptors, will get the Scuttle Crab spawn. So at least right now, Naiyou hasn't lost too much.
You know, Mazel, I'm still trying to pull myself out of spectator mode. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we cast some LPL.
It has been a long time, but it feels good to be back. And now we're going to get the second iteration of XiaoHao trying to take the Chicky Nuggies away from Naiyou. But this time, Naiyou will be here to say maybe no. It does get swited away, though, so we will end up losing those. Some skirmishing coming down there. But now is the big looks for us. We have about a minute till these double objectives spawn, and we have seen a prevalence of the Rift Scuttlers to really be the ones, at least the Void Grubbies, to be the ones to get the focus. With XiaoHao continuing to focus up here, though, it's going to be hard.
And this is what we were hitting on, right? This is the XiaoHao style. He loves to play aggressively. He loves to be in your face. And I'm glad that the Weibo are going to enable that and play around that. Already getting some nice deep vision. We hit on that Xiaohu would have this cryo. And Weibo just looking pretty comfortable so far. But at the same time, right? I mean, R8 are even. We expect the Azir to get pushed in. We know that the Udyr is just going to be able to force out the Cassante, and the Cassante is just going to be looking to catch minions near his turret. So. Yeah.
I wonder what build we get. I mean, it is the grasp taken, so it kind of gives us a little foretelling to it. But, you know, Bwipo is going for the AP and the LCS. And we've seen some different builds with the Udyrs.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of, like, even just small things I've noticed across regions. Even not just on Udyr, right? Moving to Xin Zhao, I've noticed, like, LCK loves way more to just go and build Sundered Sky on them compared to LPL, where we typically do just rush a Titanic Hydra. Speaking of junglers... Naiyou.
So hard to gank from red side down here, just with all the safety that Pixel Brush gives blue side.
Yeah, not going to be able to find anything. This is debut game, Weibo. Like, give him something. Let him get
isn't that more so XiaoHao saying, I want to make sure he has a bad entrance to the LPL? Like, there's two sides to the coin lyric.
Do you remember when Captain debuted for TT?
Yes,
like,
I do.
How tragic. If anyone wasn't here when there was this player named Captain who debuted on TT, a lot of hype coming in. I can't remember who they played. My God, they ganked mid 500 times.
Yeah, it was so bad. And he died every time. It was so rough. All right, Naiyou going for another gank bonside. He realizes that Assum and Zorah are a big ticket item for RA to push ahead. XiaoHao will be here hovering, though, so nothing else going to come of it. We do have our objectives up on the board, though. Let's see if proactivity comes to play there.
Yeah, for now, you would assume that RA should be the ones to be able to start leaning towards that with the pressure they have bought. I'm still looking at what every team's philosophy is on the Void Grubs, because you have some teams that like value them incredibly highly and they go and they try to get all three of them. You have some teams that kind of go and try to take one or two, and they don't matter as much as long as the other team can't get 6. Stacking early dragons might just be better. And then hell, you have some teams like AL the other day who didn't care about them at all.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, from what I've heard from players, it's comp reliant. But speaking of comp reliant, it's going to rely for Weibo not to get a top lane solo death by ZDZ. Gets hit back. Xiaoxu, he can't make it happen. Takes the extra damage. Naiyou is here, though. And welcome. ZDZ got the early hurt, but Naiyou makes sure it sticks.
And I'm just so glad Xiaoxu looking for these aggressive options. Now going to be able to set up and potentially make his way towards the grubs with Naiyou being spotted on the ward. We'll see if he continues to go for that. They should have a pretty good perception that XiaoHao would be on this Drake. The Weibo bot lane's pushed up. He just showed topside. But it doesn't look like he's just going to want to risk just starting that one outright.
I just love it because Naiyou is like, you thought I forgot about what you did to me earlier, ZDZ? You thought I wouldn't come back up here and say hello? Gets a little bit of revenge there, but also on top of that, being able to propel with these Void Grubs. Yes, I think a little bit of focus needs to come to the Dragon later on, but I think trading early is fine, and we get to look back at that first blood.
Yeah, we're going to see Xiaoxu coming with a trade. Not a lot of mana on ZDZ, not able to do too much, just trying to get the hell out of dodge. But the big thing, like you said, Naiyou coming in from behind. Xiaoxu kind of did do all the heavy lifting, but at the same time, Naiyou with the pathing allows him to be able to cement the kill.
Looking pretty good for that topside focus. Did not end up getting all of the grubs, it looks like. I think probably just took 2 of them. XiaoHao, though, will be looking to invade here, and we'll actually find Naiyou. Should be able to just take that aggression there. Steadfast Presence will be popped. Both level 6 here as well. Naiyou could look to pop the Keeper's Verdict. We'll just let his red buff go, though.
Yeah, I don't think...
red buff for the whole team.
Not really much you could do.
Not yet,
right?
not yet.
He wasn't that far into actually being able to clear out the red buff. Even if he did just swat him away, Xiao actually could just run right back into his juggle, get in his face. Both top and mid had prio.
So I want to talk about this a little bit more. The one grub steal. It's okay. Well, Vicla is gonna have to get out after you seek his Emperor's Divide. A little bit of trouble there, trying to dodge some rocks. But Naiyou actually only took the 1 grub to try to deny that early 3-stack grub from XiaoHao.
And honestly, it's kind of the preferred way in my mind. I don't feel like Void Grubs are like too overwhelming. Sure, when you get the 6 with the pushing power, again, with certain matchups, certain comps, it's just so annoying. The turrets will be gone right away. But I've really liked seeing the trades for early Drakes if they happen early enough. Because getting someone on a soul point timer is still just such an effective way to force fights when you're running these kind of higher tempo comps that want to get in the enemy space. And speaking of higher tempo, Xiaohu and XiaoHao. You know, this is going to get so hard when these two are actually roaming together with their names.
It's going to be so great. I can't wait to have so many issues with that. ZDZ getting all outed again on the top side. Nothing else will come of it. I did want to check into our win conditions here. We were talking about Weibo using the priority in lane to get around. It's been pretty quiet so far. Not to say that they haven't been trying to find anything, but I want to zone back into this 2v2 and bot side because we're getting to a point where we haven't had any chaos really much in lane. We do have that double support item stacking for RA's bot side, but you want to see if Naiyou can get something going for this Lucian Nami.
I actually feel like RA's bot lane should be pretty happy with the early advantage they found. You can already see them playing incredibly confidently in this 2v2. Because of how those first 3 waves played out, I don't feel like Crisp and Light had the amount of control that they probably should have. And Assum and Zorah now, especially, you know, being post 6, a ton of damage going to be able to come out. And it looks like on the minimap, Naiyou's still just kind of hovering around.
Hanging out. I guess if you get a Lucian Nami ahead, it does pay dividends. Xiaohu's Naiyou just can't get his chicky nuggies here. We do get the Keeper's Verdict, and now Light is left all alone. The TP's coming in, but is it going to be enough? Light just falls, and it's Naiyou who gets it again. Vicla's going to dash his way out of there. Xiaohu, having burned the TP, won't be able to find anything on the back end.
RA now, 2K gold lead at 11 minutes out of nowhere. Really being able to build this one up, and it looks like they're not done.
They ain't done just yet. Nice little bubble connects, and Crisp maybe a little worse for wear. Xiaohu here. XiaoHao also on the backside. Naiyou in a little bit of damage. Oh, crescent guard flash from XiaoHao. He wants to chase that because the wind do become lightning, but he's not going to actually follow that one up because of the damage profile that RA had on the back end.
Overall, I feel like RA should feel fine about that. I mean, had they been able to get anything more, it would have just kind of been the cherry on top for them after committing to that bot lane dive. And we're going to see here, right, playing around that top side prio. I think they saw that Xiaohu was leaning top side with the Flia, so they know they can go for this play. And now with Light left all by his lonesome, it doesn't really matter if the flash comes through. Seems like he was hoping that Xiaohu would be able to get here in time. I even feel like potentially they would have just both died, though, if Xiaohu's TP had happened any earlier.
That's true, and I actually really like the flash from Light there, just to try to delay a little bit longer out of that stun from Naiyou. We do see, though, reestablishing themselves back in mid lane because we have a dragon on the board coming up, and that could be a second dragon for Weibo.
We're going to see them start leaning down now. We still have the Weaver's Wall for Xiaohu, so he wants to make some sort of proactive play. And I mean, with Weibo's comp, right, it's not about the Udyr. The comp is never about the Udyr. It's about the bot lane. But we can see Assum already finishing off, you know, getting towards that first item. Gonna have a lot of power to play with. It looks like Zorah's ult about to be up as well. So RA,
we're
back try to run it back.
We're just checking up on the homestead down here, make sure everything's okay. Naiyou, though, that wave becomes lightning, gives a ton of engage range. The tidal wave, though, does make a little bit of a difference. It's a big ulti utilized even after the bubble hits. Assum gonna take a ton of damage.
Gonna have to back off in the end, and I mean, I guess we didn't mention it, but Assum is going to go towards also generating that gold with the support item, which, you know, we know is standard for Lucians these days, and potentially making your way towards that Bloodsong. Say that, Mazel. Oh, culling.
The culling, trying to do the namesake here. Can't find the damage. Good healing there from Chris. Some warm hugs.
Still, at the end of the day, RA, they're able to push him out of lane. They're going to pick up the dragon and potentially even... Oh, not even potentially. They are going to deny another wave, right? Like, going to have to run all the way back from base. Does match and finish off his Storm Razor as well. And let's be honest, coming in, all we were really hitting on was Weibo. Weibo was the big story. They're the team that made it to World Finals. I mean, they have the bigger names. But so far on the Rift, RA really being the ones to take charge, even getting some more of those grubs under the belt.
And I think, XiaoHao's going to end up getting that one there. We do have the next iteration coming up, the evolution, if you will, and it'll be the Rift Herald now. Started up by XiaoHao already. With that teamwork coming down from mid lane, Crisp and Light already here. This is a guaranteed neutral objective for Weibo.
Weibo going to be able to get this. And it'd be kind of nice if they could break down mid up against the Azir, so maybe we'll see them start looking there. We can see that RA already kind of pivoting their soul laners into being the side laners, right? Vicla moving down to that bot lane, does have TP available. And honestly, being able to get this done so early might even be able to deny some more minions from the side of Weibo and keep building up that slow and steady gold lead.
I got a serious hidden question, though. Who's got the driver's license on Weibo? At this point, I feel like maybe XiaoHao's the reckless driver that can go ahead and take some turrets down. We'll see what he can do. Xiaohu is trying to answer Vicla down here while he's just murdering this turret. Naiyou will find XiaoHao in the middle of transition, though. Does have a way out of there. Does get knocked up. A nice flash into the bush, not giving him that vision, and away from the wind becomes lightning.
You know, we typically don't really talk about top lane matchups like this. Is why.
Oh my God! Couple turret shots, though. I think he's dead. Light wants it. Some autos. They trade each other. Guns blazing.
I'm at least happy that Assum was able to trade that kill because it looked like Light was just going to be deleted right off our screens at first. Then tries to take advantage of the fact that he tanked turret, and Mazel looks like the action's not ending.
It ain't done. Weaver's wall comes out, perfectly hits Zorah. There now you have Naiyou going in for the engage. Does get the exit strategy over on Xiaohu, but he's still gonna fall. Beautiful pickup from XiaoHao himself. All out comes through from Xiaoxu, who's now gonna get the kill and going forward. Emperor's Divide from Vicla is gonna separate the fight a little bit. Xiaoxu's still pretty big, but Zorah's getting run down by the deer. And that's huge for Weibo to continue to put pressure on RA, but now Xiaoxu and Vicla, they want to tag team. They want to try to take down Xiaohu. He's going to get him one more auto, and he does. Now Assum is here too, and Vicla's there. Assum gets the kill on ZDZ, and it's just non-stop action, exactly what I would expect.
I love that the fight took so long. It started with 80 carries dying, and it ends up with 80 carries back in the fight themselves. Now RA moving up from a 2k gold lead to about a 3, but gonna keep up map pressure, and we're gonna jump in right away. RA, I feel like thinking they have enough burst to be able to get this through with the items that assume this down, also having that red buff, but not expecting to take so much damage. Really nice movement coming out from Light to secure this one, but at the same time, Assum able to finish it off, and there we go. This is the real important one. The Weaver's Wall really separating the other members of RA, but still, Naiyou was so tanky they weren't able to take him down in time. I love the all-out from Xiaoxu, because it feels like the big story from RA in this fight was they just kept isolating single members of Weibo, when that was Weibo's initial plan with the Weaver's Wall.
Oh, we're going in mid lane, though. The knockup comes through. Assum will end up flashing, but it was actually a really interesting set of plays there. Now back focusing on the Rift, we do have the Rift Herald available, but the biggest thing is now we also have these big item completions coming across the board, right? We have that Nashor's Toothbrush for the Azir, which we consistently see now, gives you a lot of that sustained damage. And that's something I want to focus on now for RA as we branch into the mid game, is they do have a good amount of sustained damage on their comp.
Oh, they have a ton, right? I mean, it's going to come out from the Azir. Even things like the Lucian being able to play with the range of the culling like we're seeing here, try and poke the enemy down, and then give you chances to all-in later on. It isn't going to be as effective, especially once you're going up against the Melio. Being able to bring the sustain, especially with the support item upgrade that he did go for. So we're gonna see if he's able to make any of that damage stick. But hey, he did also just finish off another item with the rapid fire coming on through.
That's actually a really big combo too for the Lucian. Just gives you that space to play at least. And against Light, I think you're gonna need it, as the Melio Aphelios combo is always giga strong. Now we do have another dragon coming up though. It's about 20 seconds out. We saw that RA wanted to try to put a stop to the stacking. Now I actually expect maybe dragon priority to fall down a little bit. We'll see if Weibo wants to pick it back up.
It's definitely going to be interesting, right? Because we have no potential threats of like early souls coming through, but RA trying to play around. Lack of vision.
XiaoHao maybe not healthy enough. Okay, well, Naiyou says you can't drive the Rift Herald. We do get that tidal wave on top of Light, and Light's just going at the damage now. Finds Assum too. Will end up falling over to Naiyou. It'll be the trade through. The charge came out from the Rift Herald, but RA do respond in kind. Both ADCs fall again.
I still feel like RA were hoping for a bit better than that, considering that they were the team with the pincer maneuver coming on through. But again, just an unexpected amount of damage coming out from the side of Weibo. Still will be RA to get this Drake. And for Weibo, it's really just going to be trying to get back to top side, push that wave in, try and deny some more minions from RA. But funnily enough, Mazel, this game has been so fast. Well, never mind. Never mind. The game is still going to be fast. As we see here, I love it. Take out the jungler. You can see the Cassante coming from topside, give a ton of damage, but the Moonlight Vigil is just huge. Coming out from light, Chris buffing him up as well to make sure more damage is able to come through. Sure, it gets traded. But again, when RA were the team with such an advantageous setup, I think it's kind of tragic that you end up going 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference maker is Zorah throwing the bubble to the left over, unfortunately, from light, because he was going to get it over.
We need to give him the respect he deserves, because Xiaoxu has been like 30 to 40 CS up this whole... It just doesn't stop.
It just doesn't stop. I'm telling you. Hey, welcome back to the LPL. Did you miss it?
Sorry, Xiaoxu. You do not get your verbal respect.
He has been doing pretty good up there. I do worry, though, because ZDZ will be a force to be reckoned with, right? And if you don't have tools to take down the Udyr, he gets so ridiculously strong, can literally win games inside lane if you let him be there too often. So I want to see how they utilize their comp, because RA's composition is really good when it's all together. But what happens when it's split up a little bit? Yes, Cassante is pretty strong, but that will be the only option.
I feel like ZDZ is too far behind. I mean, look, Xiaoxu's 2 full items. ZDZ's only sitting on 1. He isn't really going to be able to be a menace.
Oh, that might have been a bait from XiaoHao. He goes a little bit too far. The Crescent Guard's there, though. Naiyou a little low as well. We get the TP from Xiaoxu, who's just getting obliterated here by all the poke that Weibo's putting out. Looks like RA will lick their wounds and walk away. We got some summoner spells burned.
Yeah, a bit of baiting on both sides, right? XiaoHao thinking he can get aggressive, maybe not expecting the other members of RA just being so close, but then I understand the TP in from Xiaoxu, right? Wanting to support your team. It looked like a full-on fight was going to come through, but at the end of the day, I guess it ends up just being a TP for nothing. Well, a TP for a ghost.
A ghost? Okay, it's a ghost. All right, take those.
I agree.
We also get to see the amount of lethality, and not just the item stat here in the mid lane. Assum just able to burst down anybody who overextends, and that's kind of what we talked about in the draft, is the amount of burst damage that we could possibly see this season, but also the overstepping really being a positive for an enemy team capitalizing on it. And Outer Tower does fall here too, Leo.
Yeah, looks like Weibo they can't even contest. Xiaohu had to blow his flash somehow. I guess Vicla must have been able to find some sort of angle on him, so that's why they're not able to answer, despite the fact that both of them have TPs. We know Xiaohu's still having that Weaver's Wall as well. Weibo haven't really been able to find any big plays with that ultimate like they would have hoped this game.
They haven't just yet, and it's a calm early game that we had, I felt like, where we saw a lot of action, a lot of stealing, a lot of invade, but it wasn't a lot of blood, and it feels like Weibo maybe wanted to take advantage of that if they had found those earlier advantages. But now we're getting to the point where both teams are going to have to try to decide what's more important coming through here. Baron is on the table, but getting the continued stacking of Dragon for RA is also a big threat to Weibo.
Oh, it is, and I don't feel like it's really going to get any easier for Weibo's comp. Weibo doesn't really have any, like, any flankers to be able to try to approach RA from different angles. Like, I guess you can just TP ZDZ in from behind, but at the same time, Naiyou would be able to just, yeet him right out of the fight. Maybe Xiaoxu could even actually just all out him even further into enemy territory. Like, there aren't a lot of great angles for Weibo to find here.
Tidal Wave got used. That's a 3-man knockback from Xiaoxu. The Weaver's Wall, rather, gets utilized too. ZDZ gets the TP in, but gets pulled back into the team. Naiyou's in there, but the bubble comes through. Here comes Vicla on the side. He can't get it. Big Emperor's Divide will just hit XiaoHao, but Zorah had taken down ZDZ. You got the trade back. Xiaoxu's dead. Now also Vicla falls. So big damage in favor of Weibo here as they move forward.
We were just saying how no easy ways to make opportunities as Weibo with this comp. And I guess they're kind of made for you. And when Xiaoxu looking for the big engage, and then sadly Vicla, I didn't see what exactly stunned him and kind of stopped his momentum from being able to get that the Emperor's Divide off so soon. So
I think it was either the rocks from Xiaohu or the Ultra Mega Fire.
Yeah, that's what I think it was, but I guess we'll see here. Initial one comes out.
So this is how it starts.
Yeah, you understand what Xiaoxu wants to do. Sadly for him, though, the Weaver's Wall zoning him out to where he just takes so much more damage. Sure assumes calling does prevent too much from going on, but in my mind, this is where things really get good. With Vicla coming around the side, Moonlight Vigil comes out, and ooh!
Oh, XiaoHao had a third auto attack ready to go.
Yeah, XiaoHao actually being the one to be able to pull it off, and then beautiful W coming out from Xiaohu there to be able to secure that last one. So a game that was kind of slowly looking less competitive, still being kept in range. RA do still maintain the advantage with the 3K gold lead. But still, getting some important items coming out, right? Xiaohu with that Crypto Bloom, I feel like especially going to be important with Xiaoxu being one of the members who's so far ahead on RA.
I do love how fast RA burn objectives. That's something I talked about earlier. They do have a lot of sustained damage. The Keeper's Verdict comes out too, and unfortunately, XiaoHao doesn't have any chance to steal that one. And that's a sole point now to Rare App. Oh my God, Naiyou, you forgot there's a Talia, and now the full engage was coming down. XiaoHao got poked down by Vicla on the back end, though. And actually, it looks like positioning from Weibo is up towards the Baron pit now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and go for this, knowing that some key ultimates are blown. Worst case scenario, I guess they're going to try and look for the turn. This at least is the most, manageable Baron pit, but a lot looks like it's going to be riding on Xiaohu, waiting with Xiaohu on the brush.
They're taking a lot of damage now. Oh, they just turn it as well. That's the biggest thing about the Baron now. Teams are very hesitant to start it and take it because it's very tanky, and it actually does damage now. So early on, it's very difficult to take it. You see Weibo kind of running up against the wall there. Now RA had the better positioning in mid because of it and take a tier 2.
I still respect the attempt coming out from Weibo. Like, maybe you find an angle. They do end up losing the tier 2, does give more gold over, but now it's going to be RA's turn, kind of go back towards the top side jungle, try and get rid of some of the vision that Weibo were just able to set down in Baron
They burned
pit.
the Baron.
Ooh,
I mean, that's a Cyclosword third item now completed for Assum. They can literally just burn this thing.
And I mean, they're going to try and go for it. We're going to see what Weibo can find. A lot of flashes are down too.
Weibo are struggling to get in the pit. The Weaver's Wall comes down. They got to commit to the pit. RA needs it. He gets the early smite. No! It's stolen by Xiaohu! The Tiger King of Spring! He gets the Baron, and Naiyou is left wanting.
RA have been having such a solid game right here. Honestly, they've been in full control almost the whole time. What was it, a Q coming out from Xiaohu? That was able to
Naiyou smited way too early, unfortunately. So we'll take probably a look at that one, but it is punished heavily. And Weibo take the Baron, they take a tier 2. Let's take a look back.
Yeah, so like you said, early tidal wave coming on through. A lot of damage being done. Let's see if we can spot when the smite comes.
Yeah, I think he gets scared.
Goes in. First Q comes. Oh, you're right.
It's
just
so
slightly
early. Oh.
And then able to cement it with a Q. Xiaohu, this is why, I'm just going to say, I did predict Weibo to win the split. But it also is because I lived by Dom's philosophy that he said the other day of, like, it's just boring to predict good, the best teams to win is okay.
All right, little
ZDZ?
revenge here. ZDZ is Udyr, so he'll just run out of that one. I love it, though, because in that moment, I know this is probably not how it happens, but Naiyou sees Xiaohu, the man himself, Weaver's walling at him in a Baron pit in a 50-50 situation. Like, maybe there's a little bit of pressure there. Maybe there's a little bit of scariness. But it does end up that Weibo, who were at a big deficit, now have closed that gap significantly, just under 1,000 gold, and their team composition feels like it's starting to come online. You just got Bloodthirster for light.
I still feel like a big thing's going to be, like, how they're able to find these angles. Maybe they still won't necessarily need to, because RA have been showing that they're willing to be incredibly proactive, right? That they're willing to push into, like, trying to hit Weibo's inhibitor turrets. They're willing to go into Weibo's jungle, try and get that deep vision down and set up picks. It's going to be a bit of a lull for that, though, considering that they still have to worry about, those baroned up minions coming towards them. But honestly, RA are probably fine with a breather. As am I. Breathers are good sometimes.
In and out. In and out. Now back to LPL. We're good. We're all right. With those deep breaths, we're just fine. Weibo, though, they took like one breath and then started pressing up on our RA because now we're seeing the continued siege. About 35 seconds left on the Baron buff here for them to use, and they're looking at a tier 2 in bot side.
Yeah, now I'm going to look, especially at someone like Xiaoxu, maybe like a tidal wave into Cassante trying to find an angle, but looks like RA instead just going to be disciplined, not want to try and look for any sort of shenanigans while Baron is up. And it makes sense, right? You're already sitting on soul point. You know, Dragon's 40 seconds from coming through, and it was expected that Weibo were going to go for a bit of a reset themselves. But that just means another item coming through for Xiaohu, Landry's Torment. So he is on his third item toward Vicla, still waiting to finish off his third one.
Right? Like, it's such a rough timing. If he had that third item, that seriously makes Azir such a big threat. But that difference could just be it.
It looks like he's trying to angle for a Crypto Bloom himself and give his team a bit more utility with that heal that does come on throw after you get the kill. But Weibo now going to try and take control of mid lane.
This is what's so scary. There's so much space here now available. There could be so many members in different positions. Weibo will end up capitalizing and moving forward. Xiaoxu goes out. Xiaohu is on the backside with the Weaver's Wall. Cuts everyone up from RA, but Weibo can't capitalize yet. He does get the Crescent Strike out, or Crescent Guard rather, out of XiaoHao, and now we're repositioning for Dragon Lyric.
I got to give props to Zorah. His tidal wave was massive there to make sure that Weibo couldn't follow up on the engage. Still, though, that's some crucial ults down.
Half health now for the Dragon, who's going to get it this time. Vicla's on the back end here, goes into the pit.
Oh!
There go on to Vicla. The Dragon goes over to XiaoHao. Big Emperor's Divide back into the team composition, but the biggest thing was the Keeper's Verdict that make it so. RA take it wholly. They did lose the Dragon, but now they're going to try to chase down XiaoHao, and they easily pick him off. A double kill to Assum.
And we were highlighting Weibo's top jungle in the pregame, but this game has been all about RA's top jungle. What an amazing Keeper's Verdict to deny 2 members. I do have to say, though, my God, is Vicla crazy. I cannot believe he didn't die there. I loved how fast Weibo were like trying to jump on him to get it, but still, good fight from RA. Still sad that they weren't able to get that soul. We are going to see here, starting off front to back again, no tidal wave from Zorah to come through. And this is where the killer instinct from XiaoHao comes out, and I love it. Try and get on the Azir, try and take him down, set yourself up for a 5v4. He manages to escape, and in the meantime is where that Keeper's Verdict you highlighted, forcing out both bot laners from the side of Weibo. So it does allow for RA to, you know, find an advantage with these kills, get some more gold under their belts, even if they sadly weren't able to get that soul.
I just love Vicla's antsiness there. Just go in, see what happens. We'll see if that continues to be the case here, though, because they are getting strong. He did finally get that third item, but the biggest thing now for me is Assum on a 4th item, on a Lord Dom's, not going to find a lot of targets that he can't whittle down now.
No, he's incredibly strong. I mean, he's been incredibly strong the whole time. We've already hit on how, you know, I like the way they played that 2v2 in the early game and kind of took advantages of some of the mistakes that Light and Chris had made. And it really feels like they have just been in the driver's seat this whole time. And they're just constantly trying to play around Fog of War. But I guess to Weibo's credit, that is the one area where we haven't really seen them make a mistake yet. I'll see if we jinx that, but they haven't walked into RA's territory.
They've had a lot of calmness to them when they're approaching these situations, right? And I think that says something about the veterancy on the roster itself and maybe some of the comms that are coming through. But I actually like this call from RA. Put some pressure on them.
I love
Use that Sun Disc.
Yep. Get the Sun Disc down now. It doesn't matter if you swap sides. RA always going to have the first
Look at
turn.
Xiaohu. Look at Xiaohu.
Trying to play, trying to find an angle to cut someone off with that Weaver's Wall. It seems like Weibo it's about isolating the members of RA. They
burn so fast.
With the AoE to take down Weibo.
Yeah, I don't know, though. RA playing a little bit hesitant, realizing last time they were in this situation, Xiaohu made the biggest difference. CDZ going to be, again, that whittling of Assum onto the tanky members. But RA need to force the hand of Weibo, so they're going to start the Baron again.
Looking for it. I'm keeping my eyes on the Azir. Is Vicla going to look for some kind of scoop, get his way onto the enemy 80 carries?
They got ZDZ a little bit low. Vicla focusing on the Baron here. They need this sustained damage. Culling is so big here. There's the tidal wave on the back end. They're going to focus the Baron now. It looks like they're turning on it. They do get knocked back from it. It's still so tanky, and this is what I talked about earlier. It's so hard to kill. They end up finally getting it. The knockup goes in. XiaoHao's in the midst of it, and it's Naiyou that goes down first. In the end, it's still just that one trade for the Baron, but RA looking to get out of dodge, gonna dodge out of that Weaver's wall, and they are safe and sound. Xiaohu's machinations go wide, as Vicla under tower now might have just sealed his doom. He's gonna try to pick off XiaoHao, but goes back in and first divide. The turret shot's not gonna be enough as they turn to it, and Vicla falls so Weibo can thrive.
Weibo, they might find some kills, but still for RA, I feel like you're happy that you got that Baron. I mean, it's crazy. Only 2 members were hitting in the end with the others zoning it out. We know Naiyou on the Baron. I believe Assum, yep, turns to it as well. And then just people like Xiaoxu being so tanky, he can eat a lot of this damage. I believe Light's Moonlight Vigil ended up going wide, so definitely some missteps there. But then it's things like this where we get the knockback coming out from Xiaohu. Naiyou, of course, already a bit low from tanking that Baron damage. And things look decent for Vicla here, but I think it's the right call. Had he kept running, he would have ended up going down anyway. So staying under turret, maybe seeing if you can get a recall off or if this Emperor's Divide could have turned into anything, makes sense.
The bloom healing that came through after the death for Xiaohu is actually insane. There's so much health gained in that little pivotal moment for Weibo. It definitely made a big difference. And now we got to see what the difference is going to be in this next fight, because it doesn't feel like this carousel is stopping anytime soon. RA putting the pressure on a bot tier 2.
No, now, I mean, look, full item Lucian coming at you, Vicla as well. Incredibly strong, so they're going to get this first turret down. But looks like Weibo want to try and make play again.
Wall, they actually are. TP coming in now, though, on the backside of the wall. The Keeper's Verdict came through as well. A lot of ultis utilized from RA for just the Weaver's Wall of Weibo, and now there's a Dragon. That's going to be difficult.
I mean, this has to be Weibo's time, right? This has to be the big team fight that kind of brings you back or even sets you up in a position where you can win.
Oh, Vicla's just caught out. He gets the Emperor's Divide off. He will lose half his health, but that does mean chaos has ensued on the back end of the fight. ZDZ is getting bursted by Vicla now, as Weibo trying to make it so outside of this Tri-Bush. Going to use the Pixel Burst here. Double wards come down for RA, and they're going to turn onto the Dragon now.
And yeah, Weibo surprisingly just going to give it up. Oh, maybe
TP on the backside, or are they? I think this is a little bit bold from ZDZ. He is Udyr and manages to get out of there. The Dragon's going to reset now, and Weibo actually in a really good position now, but Weibo on the other side in some trouble now as they go in straight onto Assum, who's overextended now, is getting just run down by ZDZ. Naiyou's in the pit, but it's too early, and he's just going to fall to Xiaohu. Xiaoxu on the back end won't find anything either, and that is an easy Dragon take from Weibo.
And now going to try and keep it going. Xiaohu might regret that, but in the end...
Nice little angle there. He does get himself out.
Yeah, so now for Weibo.
Oh, or does he? Nope, he does not. Xiaohu will give him a nice warm welcome, as has been the case this entire game.
They can just end, right? I mean, look at the death timer on Vicla. Even Naiyou still down for quite a while. It is crazy if Weibo ended up taking this game. It was close the whole time, but still, RA were in the driver's seat.
You got Assum and Zorah, and Xiaoxu left as the defense. Not many minions there. They're going to block the culling so that they can get the turret. One Nexus tower falls, and Weibo have their eyes set on the win here to start off the best of 3. They're taking a ton of damage, though. They need to be a little careful. They don't even get the turret. They'll back away now. Xiaoxu is about to go on a rampage, it feels like, as he can't get the last knockback. Now it's going to be Light stepping forward, and the final tower falls. One last defense from RA survives, but no, it's not going to be enough. Weibo, they whole-handedly take game number 1 after some crazy fighting.
It's just so sad to see how hesitant RA were there at the end, when it's like, guys, they're destroying your base. You have had a great game so far. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if you die. Like, try and save the game.